Part 4. Hostile Hospitality. The chipped porcelain jester, a brittle shell of a greeting, felt less like charm and more like Brenda's toll. A small price for disturbing the house's long settling. Arthur recounted the shadowy figure, and Brenda fielded his description with the practiced patience of someone used to city folk importing their anxieties along with their luggage. "Old houses breathe," she said, her Michigan drawl flattening the syllables. "Especially after a century of winters. Probably just old man Hemlock wandering back from the tavern. He likes his solitude, that one. Hemlock, the name tasted of damp earth and decaying leaves, clinging to the skeletal trees surrounding the retreat. Arthur suspected Brenda wasn't dismissing the figure so much as dismissing him. Another professor overthinking things. Another pair of eyes seeking ghosts in the wallpaper. Eleanor, ever calibrating, sided with Brenda. "It's an Airbnb, Arthur. We're guests. Let's not start seeing specters before we've unpacked the good silverware." Her tone wasn't unkind, but carried the faint pressure of years spent distilling complex cases into manageable briefs, a talent that had served her well, but Arthur often wondered if it left room for the unsettling possibility that not everything yielded to neat categorization. He watched her pour coffee, the steam rising in hesitant coils around her face, a question mark barely formed before dissolving into brisk efficiency. Lately, he'd noticed ambition leaving a residue on her, a film of exhaustion behind her eyes despite her continued drive. Partnership had been chosen over another child. A decision arrived at logically, dividing and conquering the logistics of life. Now, watching Clara sketching furiously at the kitchen table, he wondered if logical had been enough. If it hadn't subtly hollowed something out within them both, a space that wasn't quite grief, but wasn't quite contentment either. "The firm wants me to take on Peterson," she said, stirring sugar into her mug with a precise rotation of the spoon. "It's huge. Could solidify my position for partner track, but it means another 6 months of 80-hour weeks." The Peterson account hung between them, not an invisible barrier, but a scrim of obligation woven from late nights and sacrificed weekends. Always another rung, another box ticked. He thought of their garage, a perfect repository for discarded dreams, carefully curated possessions representing choices made and paths not taken, all accumulating dust in orderly rows. A small bang echoed from the garage, sharper this time, less settling than a test of strength against its hinges. Leo barely looked up from his VR headset, lost in Neo-Tokyo where reality was pliable and anxieties could be muted with a flick of his wrist. A neat escape Arthur envied. Clara flinched slightly but continued drawing, gestures with mournful eyes mirroring Eleanor's quiet sadness. Grandma Vivian observed them all with dry amusement bordering on disdain, a silent judgment radiating from her rocking chair. Eleanor took a sip of her coffee and then discovered it, tucked neatly under her mug, facing up as if deliberately placed, another gesture card. This one depicted a gesture pointing accusingly at her head, a mocking finger aimed directly at her intellect, her ambition, maybe even her choices themselves. "Charming," she murmured. The warmth felt strained in her voice. "Brenda certainly has an eye for decor." A prickle ran down Arthur's spine. The cards weren't random occurrences. They felt intelligent, observing them specifically and tailoring its mockery to their individual vulnerabilities. He tried to articulate this to Eleanor, but she simply waved it off. Just an old house with a quirky owner. The tension thickened like fog rolling in off the lake. less about the card itself than how they handled discomfort, how they navigated uncertainty as individuals and as a couple. He wanted exploration. She wanted pragmatism. He wanted to unravel. She wanted to get through this vacation without disruption. He thought about choice again, not as liberation but constriction. They chose their boxes, then wondered why they felt confining. He'd lectured on it for years, but hadn't truly felt it until now. Each decision narrowed possibilities while simultaneously creating new anxieties about what might have been. The garage felt less like storage now, and more like purgatory for discarded dreams. "It's just work," Eleanor said finally, breaking the silence. But there was an edge to her voice. "Peterson is just another client." "Is it?" Arthur asked gently. "Or is it another step away from painting? From that pottery studio you always talked about?" Eleanor's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Practicality wins out sometimes," she said, smoothing her hair, a gesture he now recognized as a shield against vulnerability. Another bang from the garage, louder this time, sent Leo scrambling for his headset volume control. Clara pausing mid-sketch, Grandma Vivian lifting an eyebrow in knowing amusement. Later that day, Arthur walked down to the lakefront and watched waves lap against the shore, a ceaseless rhythm of erosion and renewal. He imagined Brenda's spirit, angered by mocking loggers, rising from depths, amused by their fleeting attempts at order. The lake itself seemed vast and indifferent, offering both escape and engulfment, a mirror reflecting their own internal chaos back at them. It smelled faintly of decaying wood and something older, something almost metallic. As he turned back toward the lakeside retreat, he noticed something glinting amidst fallen leaves near the garage. Third jester card lying face up. This one showed a jester doing an exaggerated bow, as if acknowledging their visit, or perhaps mocking hospitality itself. The light shifted, casting long shadows across the yard, and for a moment Arthur swore he could see the jester smiling back at him. A slow, unsettling grin promising more than just unsettling noises within garage. It promised unraveling itself. He glanced up towards house and saw Brenda standing at kitchen window, watching them, a subtle smile playing on her lips.